stars shining bright. I'm Bobo and Cramer, and they're bringing the heat tonight. Talking New York sports, you know what I mean. Big boys and the kings of the sea. Whoa, whoa, Bobo and Cramer, yeah, the pimps are loud, taking on the world, and they're never gonna stop with that New York grit. They're rising to the top, from the Mets to the Knicks. They got all the scoop, pouring out the passion, yeah, they're leading the truth. Every episode party, grab your friends and cheer. In this podcast palace, we got the atmosphere. Whoa, whoa, Bobo and Cramer, yeah, the stand of the lost, taking on the world, and they're never gonna stop with that New York grit, rising to the top. Get loud. Tune in, turn it up, feel electric sound. With every single word, you're never gonna frown. From the Midline Giants to the Madison Square, Bobo and Cramer, yeah, this man begin it air. Whoa, whoa, Bobo and Cramer, yeah, the stand up to loud, taking on the world, and they're never gonna stop with that New York grit. They're rising to the top. Get loud. Yeah, the best in the house is where the legends play. Bobo and Cramer, leading the way. Raise your glasses high, shout it out loud. In the best in the house, we're rocking the town. In the best in the house, we're rocking the town. In the best in the house, we're rocking the town. In the best in the house, we're rocking the town.
And that's right, everybody. Welcome back once again to another edition of the Best Seat in the House podcast. As always, I'm your host, Rob Kramer, and we're going to be joined by my co-host, the great Daniel Bobo curling in a... Actually, everybody, it's starting to get a little smoky in here. I don't know what that is. Who is that coming up right now? Oh, my God. It's the Nature Boy!
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, strap yourself in! Because the Nature Boy is here to tell you the jet flying, limousine riding, home run hitting, Philly beating, New York Mets solid profiling, Kings of the Diamond, who just sent the Philadelphia Phillies hanging with their tails between their legs. Woo! This past series, the Mets didn't just beat the Phillies, they swept them, clean as a whistle. 1, 2, 3, leaving no doubt. And those Philly boys grinding in their cheesesteaks. And let me tell you something, brother. This ain't no fluke. The Mets, the Mets have now beaten the Phillies 10 straight times at Citi Field. That's right, 10. This ain't just a ballpark. It's a graveyard for Philly fanatics. And Mr. Met is here to close the casket. Woo! Fans, flash back to last year's NLDS when the Mets took the Phillies to school in the playoffs. Francisco Lindor, the slickest shortstop in the game, dropping a grand slam right in their faces, leaving the Phillies shaking like a 747 taking off of LaGuardia. That's the kind of power, the kind of swagger, the kind of diamonds are forever magic that the Mets bring to the table, pal. Then you got Pete Alonso, the bowler himself, hitting home runs so big, they make Andre the Giant look like a midget. This man has helped locked up so many wins. He uses his bat the same way the Nature Boy uses the finger four leg lock, and don't even get me started on Edwin Diaz. Woo! The best closer in baseball, striking out batters like they owe him money. And when the trumpet hits, Diaz steps on the mound. It slides out, Philly. You're done, son. The Mets are custom made from the top of McLean's arm to the bottom of Alonso's cleats. They're taking the league by storm. Talking about a team that's wheeling, dealing, kiss stealing, Philly beating every single night. The Phillies can't hang with the hot fun, never dying Mets machine. They thought they could step into our house, but we are the kings of queens. So to all the Philly fans out there, take a good look at your boys, because they're wearing a crimson mask after that beatdown we just gave you. The Mets are gonna be the champs, just like 16-time heavyweight champion of the world, the Nature Boy. We are gonna keep winning and keep styling and profiling all the way to the World Series. Woo! To beat a man, you gotta beat the man. And right now, the Mets are the man. Woo!
That's right, everybody. It's not every day that you're joined by the Nature Boy. And as you can see here, we are rejoined by my co-host, the great Daniel Bobo Curlin. But Dan, can you believe the Nature Boy stopped by? Woo!
I can't believe he stopped. I can't believe he stopped by. I had to take an epic in the bathroom, and I just come back and I see the Nature Boy was here. Damn, I missed him.
There you go. You know, it's not a coincidence that we've never seen the Nature Boy and Bobo in the same place at the same time. But you know what? That was a hell of an opportunity there to have the Nature Boy. Thanks for coming by, Nature Boy. And he's 100% right, Dan. Let's get right into it. What a hell of a week as it has been for us Met fans. If you were tuning in to the show about a week ago, it was probably one of the most negative shows that we've ever done. It was about as angry and understandably so if the Mets got blown out 9-3 by the Washington Nationals last week. But things have changed, Dan. A week, a lot can happen in the baseball season. And after taking 2 out of 3 from Atlanta over the weekend, the Mets took care of business the last 3 days against the Philadelphia Phillies at Citi Field, sweeping them, just like the Nature Boy said, 1, 2, 3, and they finish off the 3-game series with a 6-0 shutout, pull within to 4 games of the National League lead, the National League East lead. And man, it's a going into September. We're only a couple of days away now, Dan. It is once again a race in our division.
Yep, that is just something else. That I was at both games, and I can tell you, I was at yesterday's and the day before, and that was just a lot of fun being at those games. There was a couple of the situations that gave me a heart attack with Helsley, but somehow, by miracle of all miracles, we didn't completely blow up in her face and got the job done, and that place went nuts on a day that they kind of celebrated 20 years of the greatest trio in baseball broadcasting in this day, Gary, Keith, and Ron, and they gave out these pins. I think I showed you the pictures of the pins that I got, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool stuff they gave out. You saw Keith Hernandez throwing it to everybody, and Ron Darling and Gary Cohen getting in on it. So that was pretty cool the way they did that.
Yep, especially the way they had them sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." That was pretty cool. And then of course yesterday's game, the game the Mets swept the Phillies. McLean once again is proving dominance that we're getting. I think more and more that this game is really starting to make a statement. I feel like he's made a statement that he's starting to turn out to be for real here. That we might be got something special. Is it possible we might have real starting pitching on his team? Who knows? But I haven't felt this enthusiastic so far about a pitcher since Jacob deGrom was on the
man.
team.
Well, I mean, when it comes to the immediate success that Nolan McLean has had, there's really only a couple of names that you could really think of, and it's a short list of the guys that have done it. And actually, if you want to really even get crazy about this, he's the only Mets rookie ever, aside from Tom Seaver, to throw 20-plus innings in his first 3 starts and have 15-plus Ks. He's the only Met rookie ever to have a win in his first 3 starts. So Nolan McLean mania is officially underway at Citi Field right now, Dan. He, just to name the other guys too, when you think about guys that had this type of success early on, where it inspired the fan base to a certain extent, you could think of deGrom, you could think of Harvey, you could think of Doc Gooden, Jerry Kuzman, Tom Seaver, obviously. Like, these are the type of names that Nolan McLean is eliciting so far through 3 starts in his major league career. And what he did yesterday was, obviously me and you were at his first major league start a couple of Saturdays ago against Seattle. He was great in that start. Me and you were so impressed, and he only pitched 5 1/3 innings in that one. The next start, he threw 7 innings against Atlanta, 2 runs, looked brilliant. It was almost to the point where you're like, I can't ask any more of this guy. And then in this start against Philadelphia, I think a lot of Met fans tried to temper their expectations. And while everybody was trying to be positive about McLean and you're feeling pretty good about him, I think everybody respects the fact of how good of a lineup Philadelphia has out there, top to bottom. When you're throwing out guys like Schwarber and Harper and Turner, and that you have to get through that gauntlet. That's not even including good bats like Real Muto, and Marsh was having a nice year, and Kepler. Like they got some good pieces on that Philly lineup. And Nolan McLean throws 8 innings and allows 4 hits, no walks, and 6 strikeouts. The no walks are amazing. You gotta love the no walks. This guy is throwing strikes. He's aggressive. He's pounding the strike zone. And 2 of those hits came in the 9th inning, a jam 1st and 3rd that he ended up working his way out of. But the most incredible thing to me, Dan, was this guy through, what was it? I think it was either the 5th or the 6th inning, had 49 pitches. 49 pitches through 5 innings. Dan, that is unheard of. We've seen Kodai Senga throw 49 pitches in 2 innings. Much less this. So just to see this guy, the way he dominated that lineup, was just a thing of beauty.
Yeah, that was just impressive what we saw out of McLean. That I gotta say, I feel like at this point, I know you probably couldn't have the soundbite at Citi Field, but at this point, it's gonna reach the point where we're gonna see that, where we could see that if it was allowed, that yippee-ki-yay motherfucker soundbite.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. And there's a reason why they used to call him the Cowboy. So I guess it would make even more sense. He was the Cowboy Ohtani. They used to call Nolan McLean in college, because McLean, actually, a lot of people don't even realize this, but McLean was a dual threat player, just like Shohei Ohtani was, as of June of last year. So Nolan McLean is a pretty damn good hitter, too, for his worth. But I think everybody realized that pitching is where this guy's going to make his money. So in a DH world, as much as you love to hit, and I'm sure Nolan McLean does, you see how good this guy's arm is right now. I think he made the right choice.
Yeah, I think he made the right choices. As much as it would have been something to have a two-way player like that be to take the world by storm, but it
Yeah.
did it. But he's a pretty great pitcher, and I have to say, I feel like if there was still pitchers batting in a NL, he'd be freaking he'd be freaking like a throwback to the days of the Grom when he'd be driving in runs for himself.
Yeah, or Noah Syndergaard. When I'll always see, this is one of the things that all the idiots that were like, oh, who wants to see pitchers bat? The pitchers batting was great because it was entertaining in itself, and you love to hit the pitchers that could actually bat. But to a lesser to the reason why I didn't like it is because it took out all the strategy. When are you going to use the pinch hitter? When are you going to take the guy out of the game? How long are you going to let him go? So it took all that strategy out, adding the DH. But it's just I think back to Noah Syndergaard hitting 2 home runs at Dodger Stadium. I think back to Matt Harvey hitting a solo home run in a 1-0 shutout 10 years ago. I think back to Bartolo Colon's home run that he hit that nobody saw coming, or that great debut game that me and you just talked about a couple of weeks ago for Steven Matz when he had that debut, game that I was at, where he was hitting. He didn't pitch that great in his debut, although he ended up getting the win. But he ended up having like 3 or 4 hits that day.
Yeah, yes, we saw some of the most unlikely moments that have become forever engraved in Mets history. I mean, that Bartolo Colon home run, I cannot tell you how many times they've rerun that. That's one of the go-to games to rerun during rain delays.
Oh, no doubt about it. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. And I actually want to have an interesting poll question because I noticed there's so many games that you could rerun during rain delays this season. I mean, you could talk about the first time the Mets swept the Phillies earlier in the year. You got the game from 2 days ago, that walk-off by Nimmo. I mean, you even had the Pete Alonso 353 game. You could rerun a lot during rain delays. You got quite a bit. I mean, you have McLean's debut. You could rerun a lot during rain delays. You got quite a bit of games you could rerun during rain delays these days. So
that's true.
I expect plenty more. Hopefully, some playoff games you could rerun during rain delays. And I just badly please sometime soon. Don't keep me waiting too long. I want to get to the point where we see a highlight film of a championship season by the Mets. I want to see that highlight film rerun a lot during rain delays at some point in my lifetime. And I would love it if for some reason SNY interviewed us for that film, because if that ever happens, they need to interview us. Am I right?
I mean, I would love it. I wouldn't hold your breath on that, but I would love that, man. No doubt about it. It would be great to be in one of those highlight films, as me and you are unintentionally in the 2015 one. So, you can't complain about that. Real quick on here, a score update as me and you were doing the game right now. Mets and the Marlins have completed the first inning at Citi Field. They went down 1-0 in the top half of the first, but in this Mets resurgent fashion, and the Mets made me eat a lot of words. That I was very harsh on them last week, as I believe they deserved. But one of the things that I called them was gutless last week. This team still, even to this day, have not come back in a game this year that they've been trailing in the 8th inning. After 8 innings. So, it really pissed me off that their inability to come back. But I got to tell you, we've seen their ability to come back all week now. I mean, it's crazy what this team has done. They fell behind 3-0 on Monday behind Kodai Senga, came back 13 straight runs, blew them out. The other day on Wednesday, they had to pull themselves back up off the ground again. They pulled it off. They came back. They tied the game, and then they went in the bottom of the ninth. in the on yesterday's game. It was just a runaway. But I mean, this team is actually starting to show signs, that they've got that pulse that we weren't really sure if they did have, Dan. And a lot of that has come up with the bats. How great was it? Game 2, one of the things that we heard from Philly fans and all these baseball prognosticators around the trade deadline is that Jhoan Duran is the best closer available, at least right now, on the trade market. The Minnesota Twins were trading him, and the Philadelphia Phillies gave up 2 top 50 prospects to get this guy. And, he's been great for them so far, but in the biggest game they've needed him so far, against the Mets, he comes into a tie game in the bottom of the 9th at Citi Field, and boom, he gives up 4 consecutive base hits. It was a thing of beauty, right, Dan? How amazing was that?
Yeah, I just had a feeling something like that was going to happen. I just said right here, Nemo's just going to get this game-winning hit. And boy, did he. And I was jumping up and down. That was just, I may have prematurely, because it was the night, because it kind of tied into the promotion they were doing the next game. But I yelled out, "Yeah, today's win was sponsored by the letters FUPILLY."
Yeah, no, it makes sense, man. And the Mets delivered that sweep. Obviously, winning game 2 was huge, and they took care of business, man. And there are a couple of guys, over the last couple of months, we have seen and we've called out the offense when it struggled. But even over the last couple of weeks, when things still didn't completely click, me and you let up on the offense, because it's been clear for the last couple of weeks now that this offense is really heating up. And I want to throw some numbers at you to back that up right now, Dan. Over the last 30 games, you could say realistically this hot streak with the offense and everything kind of started 2 to 3 weeks ago, whatever. It started even earlier for that from Mark Vientos. Mark Vientos is red hot right now. And by the way, remember how Pedro Martinez used to say that the Yankees were his daddy? Well, guess what, Philadelphia Phillies? Mark Vientos is your daddy, because Mark Vientos owns the Phillies. And he went out there and crushed them this week at Citi Field. And over the last 30 games, he's been crushing anybody that is facing him right now. 313, 11 home runs, 35 RBIs. Mark Vientos has been a godsend for the last month. Dan. This is crazy.
Yeah, he is. I feel like he has finally woke up, and I had a feeling he was going to wake up and have some pretty big moments. And also at the game, I laughed at a fan holding a. There's a couple of things that were funny the last 2 games. One, the game before, I don't know, were they showing this on TV? I haven't recorded on my DVR, but I haven't looked at it. Were they showing the guy that was consistently drinking an entire gallon of milk in the game? Like, I don't know how he got an entire gallon of milk. Like, they were showing this guy on a Jumbotron a lot during the game.
I don't think I saw that guy.
Yeah, everybody was just all of a sudden, it just led to the fans cheering on this guy. Like, he was drinking I don't know why, this entire jug of milk. I don't know if it was laced with booze. I don't know what it was, but he was drinking this thing like just like weird. Like, I don't know what it was, but it was the weirdest thing I have seen. But he just made it look weird. But he was drinking this, and I was just.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not going to let you bring a bottle, if they're not going to let you bring a bottle of water into Citi Field, how'd this guy get a gallon of milk in?
Actually, they do let you bring a bottle of water. It has to be a specific size.
Yeah, I was going to say, because they made me throw mine out the other day.
How big was the bottle? Was it bigger than hold on. Let me get a bottle.
It was either 12 or 16 ounces. I forget.
Let me get a bottle of water for a second to show you.
Oh, people. God. Sorry, everybody. I opened up the can of worms. But all right. So I don't know how long this is going to take. But not only There we
Oh,
go.
it took a few. This is how big. Sorry about that. I hope I didn't mean to bother you on this one.
No,
But
it's
I
all
just
right. And how many
wanted to
ounces
show.
is that?
Oh, let me see. This is about. I think it says 16.9 FL ounces.
So what the heck? That guy, I forget it was either 12 or 16. The guy at the gate made me throw it out.
Was it open?
Yeah.
That's why.
Because it was open?
Yeah, they let you. They let you.
I took the train to Citi Field. What am I supposed to do? Leave it sealed until I get in the stadium? That's ridiculous.
You know what I do when I go out? Sometimes if it's hot, if I'm drinking water on the way, I bring one that I open, that I drink, that I've drank on the way there. And I bring one to bring into the stadium and refill with, the water fountain.
Yeah.
They allow you to bring it if it's sealed, as you see here. It's factory sealed. That's a trick you got to remember. So make sure. So you probably want to take two. When you're drinking on the way, and when you save for when you bring it to the stadium, you don't open it. Just remember that next time.
That's true.
About this size.
All right. Fair enough.
Everybody, so I don't want to sidetrack you or anything, but you were bringing up the water bottle, and I saw that, and I felt like I had to put context to the viewers and about the water that they do allow it if it's factory sealed. But yeah, they were showing that. But then the next day,
it's like the more you know, Dan, and knowing is half the battle.
Yep, exactly. No one's half the battle. But yeah, also, but the next day, as you probably saw in some of my Twitter posts, they did it was like a Sesame Street theme night. It was like that, the bobblehead of Big Bird in the Mets jersey. But anyway, a fan was holding a sign with a picture of Oscar the Grouch, said, "Scram, Alex Bone."
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. That was pretty good.
I was laughing at that when that fan held that. But yeah, it was just a lot of fun. Those two games. I feel like those are going to be two moments that I'm just going to really call back to, depending how the season turns out. I'm gonna call back to those moments because that moment felt crowded. Also, I feel like the MTA needs to build more entrances to the train station. And here's the reason I say
congressman.
That. I gotta tell you, good luck with that. The MTA, the government, the people that run the MTA are slow to do any service improvements. But the reason I say they need to build extra entrances because it was at the same time as the U.S. Open, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not sure who scheduled that the Mets home at the same time as U.S. Open, but they did that. Entering and navigating through the train station was like
nightmare, right?
Yeah, trying to navigate through the train station. I managed to get through it okay, but I've never even seen anything like that. Even on a day the ballpark is crowded, you freaking it's not that difficult to get into the train station. This because you had two things going on within the same vicinity, two sold out events happening in the same within the same vicinity in an area that's serviced by the same train station. You had a train station that was tough to navigate through the last 2 days.
This is true.
I was lucky yesterday. The person I went with gave me a ride back. Give big credit to the person who went to the game with to give me a ride home, so I didn't have to deal with the Chardine can station because of the circumstances.
Well, you know what would make you feel better after you had to deal with all that, Dan, is I don't know if everybody still watches this show. I'm still a pretty big fan of it. But we actually here at Best Seat in the House podcast, we are on the cutting edge of podcasts. I consider us like the Ron and Fez of podcasts, or the East Side the Davey Mack Sports Show. I consider us on the cutting edge of shows like that. Even one Pat McAfee right there. So we actually have connections so deep, Dan, that I have right here. I'm going to play for you a preview of the next It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode. Check this out. that episode looks pretty good, right?
Yep, that looks like a great episode. That is a great episode. I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna grab my snacks. I'm probably gonna drink some of that rum that I offered to Jabu. It's some pretty good stuff that's imported from the Dominican Republic that I offered Jabu. By the way, I offer him the good stuff. That's why you got. That's why you got the Mets swept. I offered Jabu the best.
There you go.
And people understood the assignment that you don't take Jabu's rum.
And you got that right. Unless you want to get hit in the back of the head with a bat, like the guy in the movie.
Yep.
But all right, Dan, let's keep it rolling along here. And I want to give a little bit more credit to a couple of guys. Big shout out to Brett Beatty. I mean, this guy has been on fire lately, as you can see over his last 15 games. 360, 4 home runs, and 6 RBIs. But the big thing, and it was really incredible to see the praise that Brandon Nimmo gave to this kid after that at bat, because it was first and second with nobody out, and Duran in the game in game 2, 5-5 in the 9th inning, Brett Beatty up. And you know, Beatty's been so hot lately that they really weren't giving him anything good to pitch. He was getting a lot of stuff on the outside corner of the plate, nothing inside. He's been driving it. And Duran left one out just enough, and Brett Beatty fought it off. And even though it was one of those, you know, dying quail hits, as they want to say, it looked like it had a parachute on it going down the left field line. That was just an incredible at-bat by Brett Beatty against a guy throwing 100 miles an hour at him that he's never faced before. And such a great job by Beatty to get the base hit there that loaded the bases and set the stage for Brandon Nimmo, who also has been killing it. 348, 4 RBIs, including the walk-off one in that game. But, Dan, I cannot say enough good things about the guys that we just mentioned, Beatty, Nimmo, and obviously before Mark Vientos. Those guys have been phenomenal helping this team lately.
Yeah, I have to say that is like phenomenal seeing that, and I have to admit it's a nice little breath of fresh air that I'm seeing these guys that I got to see play when they were in the minor leagues. Of course, headline, of course, by Alonso. But I'm seeing like Beatty. I was seeing like Alvarez before he was injured. He's starting to pan out very well. And I'm seeing it with the two pitchers. I mean, with McLean, I have his signature on his card. I forgot I have his signature on his card when he was in the minors. When he was in the
cool.
I got his signature. I also got to say another one. I got to give credit to the guy. The pitcher I'm gonna see make his MLB debut on Friday.
Jonah Tong.
Yeah, Jonah Tong. I'm looking forward to seeing him, and I gotta say, there are some T-shirt people. I know the 7 line are hoping that Jonah Tong turns out well enough that they can start making T-shirts that say the Canadian Cannon, his supposed nickname. I like it. He is. I'm sure Darren and everyone at 7 Line is eager to make those shirts if it pans out well with him.
I like it, man. Yeah,
because you know they'll be selling those shirts on the 7line.com. You know, without a doubt, they'll be selling those shirts.
Yeah, most likely. And Jonah Tong, we'll talk about more about him in a second, but I wanted to finish up with you did mention, Dan, Francisco Alvarez, and unfortunately we got bad news about Alvarez. Is that, and I gotta say too, as soon as I saw that they had him in a rehab game, I got nervous. I don't know why. I said to myself, if he's okay to go already, why is he wasting time in a rehab game? You know what I mean? Just bring him back up and let's see what the kid's got. But they stuck him in a rehab start, and he looked good. He ripped a double down the line. He was looking pretty good. But then one of the kids down in the minors tries busting him inside, hits him on the hand, and now it's on both hands. He's got the hurt thumb on one hand.
What the heck?
Now he got hit by the pitch, so he's got a broken pinky on the other hand now.
Heck?
This guy can't catch a break.
Can't this guy catch a break? What is this? Is Mr. Glass catching for the Mets? Do we have Mr. Glass? Can we for once have a catcher on this team that's that's the guy that has the powers of Bruce Willis's character and not the powers of Mr. Glass.
I hear you. And our buddy PhD dropping in here. I want to say, for the record, though, we don't, you could say Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, whatever, but Bobo and the Nature Boy are not the same person.
Yeah, exactly. They're not the same person.
Exactly.
So treat it like that. They're not the same
They're
person.
not. They might look the same. They might have similar fashion, but they're not the same person.
Exactly. They are not the same person.
Yes, and just like Dan said, though, our buddy Jonah Tong is getting called up on Friday night to face the Miami Marlins. That's going to be a big moment for him. Big moment for the Mets. And the Mets farm system, Dan, did you hear about this? Just the other day, got ranked number 1 in all of Major League Baseball by, I forget what it was. I think it was ESPN, actually, now that I think about it. So the Mets got the number 1 ranking in baseball for their minor leagues, and it just goes to show all the guys that we've just talked about, Mark Vientos, Brett Beatty, Brandon Nimmo, even from a decade ago, Jonah Tong, Nolan McLean, all these guys that we're heaping praise on and talking about right now are guys that came up through the Mets farm system. And Jonah Tong is just the latest example of how good this team has been developing people since Steve Cohen took over. And I want to give a lot of credit to Steve Cohen on this, because I think a lot of people are going to give the credit to David Stearns, even though David Stearns didn't draft or develop most of these guys. Most of these guys were done over the last couple of years, whether it was, whoever they had in there in the moment, Billy Epler, whatever the deal was. But the guy driving the force, the guy driving the plane was Steve Cohen. So he put a lot of money into it. He put a lot of time and effort. And I think that we got to give Mr. Cohen the credit for building this farm system back up.
Yep, exactly. And also because of the great seats at our pal Stevie Lou, and he's the one who invited me to tomorrow's game. I'm holding up because of how close it is. I'm hoping it shows up on TV. I'm just gonna hold up a pair of kitchen tongs.
I like it. That's a good idea. That's definitely a good idea. And everybody's making the if you remember the old Cisco song from 20 years ago, the thong song, everybody's doing the tong song. So you hear the tong tong to tong tong tong. So everybody's doing that right now. I've heard a bunch of those those songs popping up on the internet lately. So keep an ear out if you haven't heard it yet.
Yeah, I feel like if the Mets got to a World Series eventually at some point down the line, you're gonna radio station, they're gonna be using that. Knowing my luck.
I can see it. So Tong is slated to pitch tomorrow. That matchup is Yuri Perez, another good young pitcher, going against Tong. So you're going to be in for a good pitching matchup tomorrow night, Dan. As for tonight at Citi Field, it was Adam Mazer, who's already given up 2. Mets are up 2-1 in the third inning right now, as Adam Mazer and Clay Holmes go at it. And the Marlins just tied the game 2-2, unfortunately. But, still,
of course, he's dumb. The Mets got to take the Marlins seriously. These idiots are fucking pesky. And it's close to September. The one time the Marlins are the most pesky is in September.
Hey,
they
give them
suck
credit.
The rest of the year, but
Marlins are a major league team, and let's be fair, Dan. Remember, you could say they suck the rest of the year, and most of the time that's right. But the Marlins, for a good 8 to 10 week span from the middle of June to the beginning of August, were one of the hottest teams in baseball. So you got to give the Marlins credit. They got a lot of talent on this team, and it still hasn't come to fruition yet, but they are a dangerous team. So 2-2, runner on second here in the third inning. One last thing on the Mets, Dan, before we move on, because we've spent a lot of time on the Mets early on in this show. But I did want to say the Mets actually, this was mentioned the other day And Carlos Mendoza kind of blew it off. He brushed it off and didn't really give much merit to it. But it came out today that the Mets believe that relief pitcher Ryan Helsley is tipping his pitches. And I got to tell you, Dan, that is a great sign for the Mets, because tipping your pitches is something that you can fix. Could you imagine a world? Because look, I think we can all sit here and say that Tyler Rogers, the other reliever the Mets traded for at the deadline, has been pretty damn good so far. He's had his moments where he hasn't been perfect, but I think most Met fans feel pretty confident in Tyler Rogers. Ryan Helsley is the complete opposite. Everybody is scared the second this guy comes in the game. But if the Mets correctly diagnose the problem, and it actually is that he's tipping his pitches, because there are a bunch of things that we could sit here and say.
You're killing me, Smalls!
Yeah, nobody else is watching the game. Please don't react to it. So the Mets have Ryan Helsley figured out if this is the case. So if they can unlock Helsley, could you imagine having this weapon down the stretch?
Oh, that will be so good if we have that down the stretch. If he can figure this thing out, and I hope he does, it'd be nice. I will apologize if that happens. I will apologize for everything I said about you, Helsley. Everything. Like I will get you a burger at Donovan's if you want.
Yeah, man.
Apology.
Because Ryan Helsley, this guy scares a lot of us right now. But if they could unlock this and figure out a way to get this going, that'd be a dream come true, because that's the type of bullpen we were envisioning when the Mets made that initial trade. So shout out to Helsley there. All right, now as you could tell by the way Dan reacted there, the Mets, because of a bad play by Clay Holmes, who dropped the play at first base, Mets now trailing 3-2 here in the third inning. But, hey, the Marlins are not going to be easy to beat. So the Mets have to realize that. The Marlins aren't going to roll over. Just like at this same time, Dan, right now, the Phillies and the Atlanta Braves are playing right now. And it seemed pretty good early on as the Braves went up 3-0 in the top of the first inning. But the Phillies stormed right back and currently have a 6-3 lead in the third. So Atlanta can't really help us. And Clay Holmes is just getting his face beat in right now. RBI base hit, 4-2. Get this stiff out of the game. I'm sick of Clay Holmes.
Yeah. I never want to see him again once he gets down that stretch run.
So, at least starting. Just, stick his ass in the bullpen. Whatever. Oh, he did throw a good game last time, but, I mean, come on. It's one good game since June. So, all right, let's move on. We'll finish up. We'll round things out here now, talking a little Yankees and then wrapping up with some NFL talk. As the Yankees went out there and they dominated the Nationals this week. And it's a shame they didn't do this against any of our other National League East opponents, but they beat the crap out of the Nationals this week, outscoring them 26-8 and finishing things off today with an 11-2 win, completing the sweep in the Bronx. Yankees have a chance. Me and you mentioned this on our Patreon show this past Sunday, which, by the way, you can subscribe to. It's $5, patreon.com/Best Seat in the House podcast. And we were talking about that on our Patreon show, that this is a pivotal week for the Yankees, where they're going to be playing two really bad teams in the Nationals, and we're going to talk about in a second, they're going to play the White Sox. So they took the first half of that test perfectly. Now it's time to do the same thing to the White Sox starting tonight in Chicago. So Yankees with a big win there. And Dan, a couple of things with that. The Yankees hit 4 home runs in an inning for the third time this season in that 11-2 blowout. That's a major league record. No other team has ever done that in one season. Isn't that great? I mean, the Yankees have been hitting home runs like crazy this year.
Yeah, that is just crazy. They just, I don't know what to hang of that, but they just managed to do what they needed to do when take care of business against the second division team, take the opponent seriously, and they got that job done against the Washington Walgreens.
That they did. You are correct about that. And in doing so, too, Trent Grisham hit a couple of home runs. Judge went deep. Bellinger. And now this trio has become the first Yankee outfielders to all have 25-plus home runs in a season since 1941, when Joe DiMaggio, Charlie Keller, and Tommy Heinrich did it. And, Dan, that was almost 100 years ago. So it's pretty crazy when the Yankees are putting up numbers and you're dropping names like Joe DiMaggio and Charlie Keller.
Yeah, that is crazy to think of that. Like to think that it was all the way back to maybe around the time my grandmother first arrived in America.
Yeah, it's true. It's been a long time. Pre, the United States getting involved in World War II. If you think about it, realistically, this is before the Japanese even bombed Pearl Harbor. So it's pretty crazy how long it's been since the Yankees have had 3 outfielders with 25-plus home runs. And you'd think with all the power hitters they've had over the years, it wouldn't have been that long. But shout out to these 3 guys for getting it done this year. And he's not playing too much, if any, outfield. But we got to give all the credit in the world to Giancarlo Stanton, Dan. This guy is dominating right now. 313, 17 home runs, 46 RBIs. That's in 50 games. Dan, 50 games. He's driven in 46 runs in 50 games. He's got a 2-0 WAR. And look, the only reason I'm bringing that up, I hate the WAR stat. I'm not a WAR guy, but there is some value to it in showing how productive a guy has been. And the reason why it jumped off the page to me is because in 50 games this year, he's got a 2-0 WAR. He hasn't had a WAR even close to that since he had a 3 WAR back in 2021 when he hit 35 home runs and drove in 97 RBIs. He's played in 3 full seasons since then, where he played in 100 games every time. One was 120, one was 110, the other one was 115. He didn't even come close in double the games to having that type of WAR. So it just goes to show how the whole reason I'm bringing that up is because this goes to show that outside of the playoffs, right now in the regular season, this is the most valuable Giancarlo Stanton has been to this Yankees team in 4+ years. And if you're the Yankees, you just got to sit back and enjoy it because he is killing it right now.
Yeah, that Stanton is just he's having a monster year. I feel like he kind of was slow to starting off. I feel like Yankee fans were kind of quick to pull the trigger on if he was panning out to what they expected, but he's panning out well, and he's somehow I don't know, maybe it was Aaron Judge or whoever it was, but somebody helped them adjust to playing in high expectations and playing in front of a team that actually has a lot of fans, that actually shows up in the stadium.
Yeah, well, he's been a Yankee for about 8 years now, so it's been a long time since he played on a team that did not have those winning expectations like those old Marlins teams. And look at these numbers, Dan. Over his last 20 games, Giancarlo Stanton, in the last 20 games, 393. 393. This is a guy, usually he's a 250 hitter. He's hitting 393 with 10 home runs. He's got 10 home runs in 20 games, Dan. 10. 25 RBIs in the last 20 games. A 469 on base percentage. A 982 slugging percentage. 982. That's insane. And his OPS is, only 1451 right now. 1451, which, by the way, if you know anything about OPS and all these kind of stats and everything, if you have a 950 to 1,000 OPS, you're considered an elite player. Over the last 20 games, this guy's got a nearly 1,500 OPS. That just goes to show how locked in this guy is. I never want to hear Yankee fans say a bad thing about this guy again.
Yeah, exactly. You can never say a bad thing about this guy again if you're a Yankees fan. He said he's having a phenomenal year so far.
He absolutely is. And unfortunately for them, it hasn't been as long as they want. He's only into 50 games as we're entering August now, but he should still end up with about a half season's worth of games under his belt. And the Yankees are going to get to do that right now as they threw first pitch about 20 minutes ago. They're opening up a 4-game series against the Chicago White Sox tonight. Yankees, the White Sox aren't as bad as they were last year, but they're still a bad team. They're still about 30 games under 500. So the Yankees should at least take 3 out of 4, if not sweep all 4 games in Chicago. And it starts tonight with rookie pitcher Will Warren, 7-6, the 4.47 ERA, going against Davis Martin for the Chicago White Sox, 5-9, the 3.93 ERA. So as you can see, this kid Davis Martin might not have great numbers, but it's not exactly the garbage that you'd think for a team like the White Sox. So if I was the Yankees, just like you always say, Dan, I wouldn't take this guy lightly.
Yeah, exactly. You can't take this guy lightly. It's gonna be a game that might seem a bit closer than what you expect, because I feel like it could be maybe a 5-3 Yankees win, I'm guessing, on that game.
Not a bad guess. Not a bad guess. I could see that. That's a realistic thought
and
there.
And by the way, do not complain if you lose. If you placed a bet on this game, don't complain. Don't complain to us. And any bets you make, it's on you. That's all I gotta say. It's on you if you decided to place a bet on that, because we're not.
Yeah, we're not sponsored by DraftKings.
Yeah, and we're not a crystal ball or anything. So any bets you place on a game based on something I predict, it's on you. Don't go complaining to us.
That's right. That's right. So
exactly,
all right.
and don't go complaining to us if you're in so much debt that you ended up in the Squid Games, that you were in so much debt.
That's a lot of debt, and you're right about that. So all right, that's gonna do it for the Yankees. They're in Chicago tonight, playing the White Sox on the north side of town. And Dan, so that's gonna do it for the baseball talk, as we got the Mets right now down 4-2 in the third with Lindor on first. We'll take a look at that, see how that pans out there. But before we wrap things up here, I did want to touch on a little bit of football news, Dan, as we had NFL training camp conclude last week. The Jets and the Giants both finished out their preseason schedules. The Jets lost 19-17 to the Eagles. The Giants blew out the Patriots 42-10. So, the thing is with those games, you really can't take much from them. No starters or anything in that game, just guys on the roster bubble for the most part. And when you have that, now that that's out of the way, it's all about getting ready for the regular season. And for the Jets, that's going to be week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's going to be Sunday, September 7th at 1 p.m. And the NFL decided to screw over Jets and Giants fans like they never used to do. The Jets and the Giants never used to play at the same time until about 8 to 10 years ago, when all of a sudden they just said, who cares if you want to watch both games. Now the Jets and the Giants playing at the same time on opening day. Steelers and Jets at MetLife at 1, and then the Giants are down in D.C. or Maryland, wherever that stadium is, playing the Washington Commanders at the same time. So, Danny, ready for a little football? It's crazy. It's only a week away now until opening night for the NFL next Thursday.
Yeah, that is crazy. I'm gonna have to DVR one game and watch the others. I mean, I'm gonna be probably relying on a lot of DVR action and maybe multiple screens, because it's like they got the NFL season happening at the same time the Mets are in contention, so it's like a lot.
That's true.
It's gonna be a lot, and I have NASCAR recorded on my DVR, so it's gonna get to be a bit crazy on Sunday with the whole the stuff. But I'll be taking a look at them. I'm pumped up to see what my Giants got and where they progress this year, because I feel like this year is just a building block year. I've said it before. I'm not going into high expectations this season, just because I feel like it's more of a building block year with our draft with our draft pick Jackson Dart. We're going to see where if he makes an appearance this year. I feel like that could happen down the line, depending how things pan out. It's gonna vary what goes on this year, but I feel like the Giants need to progress a certain way, maybe get wins, maybe at least like come if not make the playoffs, come close to it, show the progression, and then next year could be the year that's gonna really define what we did this year if we may win in the right direction in the draft. I feel like it's really the next 2 years are going to be a telling of where the Giants are.
I could see that. That's definitely a good thought process to have going into the season. And, it's all about seeing what they get out of Dart at some point this year. You're absolutely right about that. And Dan, one last thing before we get out of here is that the Dallas Cowboys decided to make it a lot easier on all of their NL East rivals by trading one of the best defensive players in the game. They've been in a contract stalemate with him all summer, and this dates back to even before that, maybe the mini camps and everything. But today it was announced just a couple of hours ago that the Dallas Cowboys have traded Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers for defensive tackle Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks. The Packers, upon completing this trade, signed Micah to a $188 million extension. Suddenly, the Packers just got a lot better, and the Dallas Cowboys just got a lot worse, Dan. That's not good news for Dallas, but it is good news for you and everybody else in the NL East. The
NFC East. Yeah, exactly. The NFC East. Yeah, you had a Rich Voss moment. All right, I put that one on the board of things you said wrong. Yeah, you had a Rich Voss moment. Remember those days he would make a list of everything Rich Voss said wrong?
Of course.
Yeah, they got to add that one to the score. Things Cramer said wrong. But
and
yeah.
we got our buddy Mac TV hanging out there saying Jackson Dart seems legit. Bobo in the house. There you go. Thanks for hanging out with us, Mac.
Yep. Thanks. Much appreciated. Thank you for supporting our show. But yeah, I feel like Jackson. And I'm going on I believe it's Friday, September 5th. The Giants are doing like a little fan fest hype thing at that at that mall that they built in the Meadowlands, that that American Dream, whatever it is. They're doing like a little fan fest thing. I'm going to it on Friday.
Nice.
Like
that's pretty cool.
Free ticket. I'm going. I think some of the current players are going to be speaking, so I'm gonna check that out. Hop on there's a bus that goes there for Port Authority, so I'm going to be going to that mall, and probably one of the worst bus networks in New Jersey Transit. Gonna have to figure out where to get the bus, all that stuff. But it's not that bad of an hour that I'm returning home and everything. So I'm gonna go. It's a build up event to the upcoming season, and I'll be checking it out. Maybe talking about it in the show.
Very cool. Take some video footage. Maybe we'll put something together for Patreon too.
Yep, definitely. I might have to have a fully charged power bank for this to get this little footage for a Patreon. But that's I got that to look forward to, and we'll be checking that out.
Absolutely. And I think that's just about going to do it for us here today on the show. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us today. Hope everybody enjoyed that little special appearance by the Nature Boy at the top of the show. If not, go back and make sure to check it out. And Dan, before we get out of here, anything like to plug for yourself?
Sure. My Twitter, Bobo103NYC, Instagram, Bobo718DK, YouTube, one word, Daniel Curlin. Be on the lookout for new Bobo content on YouTube. And all of you who subscribe to our Patreon, and all of you who haven't, you subscribe to our Patreon. Whenever I upload stuff on my YouTube, you get 1 week early access. So that's a nice little little perk you get there, 1 week early access to my YouTube content when I upload stuff. And more importantly, you support the show. So subscribe to our Patreon if you haven't already.
That's right. So thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us tonight. As always, we'll be back with you on Sunday night for our Patreon show. It'll be our last non-NFL post-game Patreon show, but everybody knows once the NFL season starts, we do post-game shows for every Giant and Jet game. So be sure to check in and tune in for that. We'll be in, so that first Sunday of the NFL season on September 7th, will be a double show covering both the Jets and the Giants. And make sure to check that out, and make sure that what's it called? Let's see. Our buddy Mac TV is saying drop the YouTube link, Bobo. So we will include a link to Bobo's YouTube account in this video. But actually, as a matter of fact, if you click on our video, you can see on our YouTube associated accounts. One of the associated accounts is Bobo's account anyway, so you can see it on there. He's under Daniel Curlin. So thanks for hanging out with us, Mac TV, too. We appreciate it, buddy. And want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. For my co-host, the great Daniel Bobo Curlin, I'm Rob Kramer. This is the Best Seat in the House podcast, everybody, and we will catch you next week. Let's go Mets.
Yep.
Right, Dan?
Yep, exactly. Let's go Mets.
All right, catch you guys.